Okay, so Nordic Built is a 3-year program started by the Nordic Ministers for Trade and Industry to promote sustainable building concepts. And the idea here is that it's partly for the environment, to help solve the climate issue, but it's also a business development program. We think there's a huge potential for creating business opportunities for the Nordic region in sustainable construction. And we got a mandate also to build on existing initiatives, everything that's going on nationally, and we take that seriously. The ministers decided to go ahead with this. They tasked Nordic Innovation, which is my organization, with coming up with a program and delivering it. So that's what we've been doing, and this is part of that task. So why Nordic Built? First of all, buildings are a huge part of the climate challenge we're facing. So it's a place that we need to make a huge effort. It's also low-hanging fruit. Both in terms of the climate issue, it's been, in several analyses, it's been named the most cost-efficient way to cut our emissions is refurbishing existing buildings. But it's also a low-hanging fruit in terms of creating green growth, jobs, etc. There's strong political intent, as Bardur mentioned. We have a strong knowledge environment, we have a shared values in the Nordic region. But there's a paradox, because as Bardur also mentioned, we in the Nordic region are not the reference point globally for green construction. The Germans, LEED and BREEAM, etc. are the central reference points. And we want to change that. But after we got the task of doing this, we went out, did a lot of research, talked to a lot of people, and we identified a couple of things that we wanted to work with in this. First of all, we wanted to work with the existing building stock. We saw that as the area that had the biggest potential. We also want to address the two biggest problems we found were the barriers to more sustainable construction, and that was the issues of cost. Some people argue that it costs more to build green. We are not completely in agreement, but we do want to change also so that it becomes profitable to build green also. The other issue was fragmentation, and here we mean both in terms of across the value chain in the building sector, but also across the borders in the Nordic region. So those are the areas we want to address. After all this research, we came up with 3 activities that we're doing in Nordic Built. The first one is sort of defining a common identity for the Nordic building sector. This has resulted in the Nordic Built Charter that I'll talk a little bit more about in a minute, but that I hope you've all seen already. Then the second module is this competition. Here we want to show that the Charter can actually work in practice. We want to show that it's possible to build after the principles of the Nordic Built Charter. And of course, bring new ideas and actual buildings into the world. Then there's module 3, or the third part of this Nordic Built program, which will be a coordinated effort to fund innovation, R&D, demonstration projects within green construction. And here we're working with the existing Nordic initiatives, the government agencies who fund projects in this area. There'll be more information about this at a later time. We're still working on the specifics. So, the Nordic Built Charter states 10 principles. It was developed in February of this year. We gathered 65 leaders from around the Nordic building sector, from every part of the value chain, from architects, engineers, to building owners, to material providers, to financiers. We tried to go as broad as possible. And we sat them down for 2 days. They worked very hard. And we asked them to define what is the Nordic identity, what is our identity when we build. And the result was these 10 principles. They are a very sort of broad set of principles. Energy is only a little part of sustainability, principle 4, and we try to bring in the whole broad perspective in this document. I won't go through it all, but you are welcome to take a copy by the door. We feel it's a very good platform for cooperation. It's a good sort of brand for the Nordic region as well, because it really expresses what we're all about. And the charter is the foundation of Nordic Built. You can sign the charter, commit to its principles, and we urge everyone to do that. We will also, through Nordic Built, through the signees of the Nordic Built Charter, we will make arenas available to influence the political agenda. We have a direct line in Nordic Built to the ministers, the relevant ministers in each country, and we'll try to make some arenas for that. Then it's also a communications platform for whoever wants to sign. You can be lucky enough to have your sustainable project showcased on our website. You can use the logo of Nordic Built if you are good at following the principles. So we urge you all to, of course, commit to the Nordic Built Charter. But the most important thing that we're here to talk about today is the Nordic Built Challenge. And it's one competition with one objective, you could say, but it actually also is made up of 5 individual competitions. There's a total of 21 awards, and there will be one final Nordic winner. What are we hoping to achieve with the Nordic Built Challenge? First of all, we want to show that the charter is not just a sort of a dream or something. It's actually something realistic and tangible. So we want to show the charter in practice. That's the first objective. The second objective is to, of course, to draw attention to the charter and to the issue in the Nordic region. And we feel we're doing a good job at that. We want to mobilize innovators. We want to lure some of the unusual suspects out of the bushes and get them to also consider taking part in renovating some of these very normal building types in the Nordic region. We want to have people come together in multidisciplinary and Nordic teams. That's very important. We feel that Nordic cooperation is something that's lacking in the building sector, and we hope this can bring together some new teams across the Nordic borders. Then, of course, it's about creating scalable concepts. As I mentioned, these are very sort of typical buildings in the Nordic region, many of them. And if we solve these issues, then we have solved the issues of a lot of very similar buildings all around the Nordic region. Of course, we want to push the limits of what's possible, and that's in relation to all of the others. We feel if we just apply the best and the brightest to some of these issues that might not be the sexiest for architects, engineers, etc., we can actually push the limits of what's possible with limited budgets. And then, of course, we wanted to result in 5 good, beautiful, sustainable buildings that lives up to the Nordic Built Charter. So the competition is set up in 2 stages. 3 stages if you count the Nordic stage, but each competition has 2 stages. In the first stage, we try to be as open as possible to provide the possibility for innovative new ideas. And in stage 2, it's all about making it feasible, because innovation is about creating new value, and if we don't also make it feasible and turn it into actual buildings, then we have not created any new value. The 5 competitions have slight variations between them. We try to frame them as like as possible, but I put the principle number 7 of the Nordic Built Charter up here. They are also adapted to local conditions because the buildings, the owners of the buildings, the users, and national regulations are different from country to country and from building to building. So there will be slight variations. And that's both in the rules and in the sort of specific objectives of the competitions. But the rules and objectives are specified in the competition briefs that are available for download right about now, and that are also available in print version by the door. Some of the overall rules is that stage 1 is open to everyone. We want as many people to take part as possible, and we also want the unusual suspects, as I mentioned. Participants are allowed to take part in every competition. You can take part in all 5 if you're interested, but we encourage you to take part in a competition that is not in your own country. So we hope you'll do that. We also encourage multidisciplinary cooperation. I think actually the competition brief speaks for themselves. You will need multiple competences if you're going to come up with a good proposal. But we want to strongly encourage that anyway. We also want to encourage cross-border collaboration. I think that can really add to a team working across the Nordic borders. There are 5 individual juries, 1 for each competition. They are competent, they are Nordic, and they are multidisciplinary. So again, to underline the Nordic and multidisciplinary, you will also be evaluated by Nordic and multidisciplinary. So it will make sense to think that way from the beginning. The Nordic jury that will decide the final competition will consist of members of each of the 5 national juries. The evaluation criteria is based mainly on the Nordic Built Charter. The competition is about showing the Nordic Built Charter in practice. In addition, there's also more specific evaluation criteria for each building. The structure of the competition is as follows. There's 5 sort of parallel competitions. The first stage is completely open. There will be selected the 4 best proposals for each building will advance to stage 2. So there will be 20 winners of the first prize here, which is 300,000 Norwegian kroner. Those 4 teams for each building would then compete in stage 2 for the opportunity to win each of the national Nordic Built challenges. And here, the big prize is, of course, the opportunity to be involved in finishing the project. Then afterwards, the 5 winners of each of the national competitions will compete in the Nordic Built final, and we'll select the one that best exemplifies the Nordic Built Charter, and there's a 1 million Norwegian kroner prize for that team. The schedule is as follows. We launch it today. From today, it's open. All the documents are available. And there's a 3-month window to send in your proposals. So the 8th of February is the first deadline. Then we'll need some time to evaluate, and around the 1st of April, we will announce the 4 finalists in each competition. In June, July 2013, there's a deadline for stage 2, and in September 2013, we'll announce the winners of each competition. And then, of course, in November, we'll have the announcement of the final Nordic winner. There'll also be a chance to put questions to the competition organizers, to each competition organizer. There'll be more details on the website on how to do that, but basically it works by email. All answers will be published as long as they are considered relevant questions, and they are not. The answers are not included in the brief as it is already. There'll also be an opportunity to ask questions of each national competition organizer as they get up here to present their projects in a moment. So this is sort of the overall framework of Nordic Built and the Nordic Built Challenge.